Hi guys, and first and foremost, hi girls. For some reason, I feel a need to address all of you. I don't know what the reason is. So, yeah, my name is Patryk, and I'm a bit jet lagged, so you have to excuse me. I'll try to do my best though. I am a part of 11-Bit Studios, a studio responsible for This War of Mine, among the other titles. And right now we are working on our next big thing, which is Frostpunk, not Frostbite, but close enough. And yeah, so I am mentioning this one because Frostpunk is going to be a part of my presentation, to some degree at least. I'm a marketing guy, so my today's talk will revolve around marketing mostly, and to be specific, around storytelling in marketing. Because as I believe, we as human beings, we get highly engaged with good storytelling. So as marketers and as creators, we should use storytelling to boost our activities and to promote our games more efficiently, if that makes sense. And this is true when it comes to all the areas of game marketing as such. But it is the most important area that we should focus on when it comes to storytelling is video marketing, because video is a huge thing nowadays. I think that it is worth mentioning that on the official YouTube channel for the IGN.com, I counted, and yeah, I actually did count that, no need to judge me. I counted over 110 videos published in the last week. And this is absolutely huge, as one infamous president of one prominent country would probably say. But at the same time, having such an enormous amount of videos, we have the perception, at least I do have the perception, that not many of those videos tend to stay with us even few minutes after we watch them. So the question stands, why is that? My perception is that it is because there is a thin line between being trendy and being repetitive. And most of those videos, unfortunately, fall into that second basket, if you know what I mean. And don't get me wrong, there are so amazing videos out there. Just to mention the latest trailer for Hellblade, which I like very much because it's dense, it's so unnerving, it's emotionally impactful, if that makes sense. But for every exceptional video, there is a long line, there is a long tail of those videos that are quite repetitive, and they blend into one unrecognizable pulp to some degree. And again, don't get me wrong, I made a fair share of my mistakes as well, but every video that I worked on that actually has been successful shared few things that are worth mentioning, and I would like to mention those things right now. And please do not get that presentation as any kind of an attempt of giving you a recipe, as I do believe that there are no recipes in our line of work, but those are just tips I found helpful along the way, and I would love to think that at least some of you will find them helpful as well. So let's start with messaging. Every video that you work on is or at least should be a part of a bigger campaign. So as such, it should revolve around the main idea of the campaign, and it should be very much focused and single-minded communication-wise. So the most important question that you have to answer while working on any kind of a trailer or video promoting your game is, what is the one thing you want to leave your viewer with? What is the one emotion you want to evoke in your consumer? This question is the most important one, as I said, and everything else is secondary. The budget doesn't matter really. The good idea works even written on a napkin, while not having a good idea, you can spend all the money you have and you won't get good results. So let's think about 3 trailers that you find like impactful and well made, well created. For me, it would be, just from the top of my head, Call of Duty, for the way it opened fast-paced multiplayer shooters for the mainstream audience. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the franchise itself, I find their campaigns and their videos highly successful and well made. Then there is the recent Japanese Hearthstone commercial, for the way it made this competitive digital card gaming appealing and relatable for both gamers and non-gamers. And last but not least, I would say Dark Souls, for the way it prepared us for those countless deaths, turning its potential flaw into its main biggest feature. And is that all those games had to offer? Quite the opposite, I would say. But because they stayed coherent when it comes to the communication, because they stayed coherent when it comes to the messaging that was included in their trailers, they were able to stand apart and to be recognizable on a very tough and very competitive market. So the first tip worth keeping in mind would be to precisely define your message and then keep it for the whole time you are like running your campaign. Then the structure follows, because every story that we experience, even every story we watch, every story we listen to, every story we read is usually, if not always, based on this 3 or 5, if you want to follow the Shakespearean model, act structure. Because there is something primal, or maybe something we have developed over the centuries in a way we experience and the way we consume stories. So as viewers, as consumers, we like patterns. So as creators, we should use those patterns to our advantage, either by following them or binding them to our will. And I know that when it comes to game marketing, usually we deal with those short forms. Our videos are like 5 seconds long or maybe 2 minutes at most. But that doesn't change much, does it? Because either way, you need some time to establish the world, to introduce some kind of a conflict or drama, then to create a climax point, following it up with the resolution, just to close it with a strong punchline. What differs is the pacing, because we as marketers, we as people who like to promote our products, we not only have to be engaging, but also we have to be effective business-wise. And while fighting for the attention of your consumers, of your potential gamers, you're not only going to be competing with other videos and other trailers out there, but also with cat memes, with news, with Tinder dates, and obviously with porn. And this is a challenge. So no one will wait for your story to develop. You have to be fast. You have to be agile. So on top of following this like storytelling narrative structure, you have to add an additional layer of, let's call them, beats. So you have to grasp the attention of your viewer early on and then maintain it for the whole length of the video. So to do that, you have to divide the whole structure, adding those additional elements, those hooks that potentially will be able to grasp your consumer and to lead him forward toward your key message that you left somewhere out there for him in your video. So if we were to analyze the matrix of sort, it would look something like that. So on top of this structure that we already know, we've got those beats, not only creating a denser rhythm of sort, but also increasing the momentum, if that makes sense. So those beats are pivotal elements, grasping the attention of your consumer and then maintaining the attention of your consumer. And they can exist as part of the script. Those can be like those small climax points or maybe some plot twists that you have planned. But also they can be a part of the way you have implemented the video, if that makes sense. Meaning they can be like an aesthetical element, something that is visually appealing and can be interesting for your potential viewer. So let's see an example. I have already mentioned Frostpunk. This is a society survival game we are working on right now, and it is being set in some kind of a post-apocalyptic alternative history, more or less. But what I want to show you right now is one of the trailers that we have released for this particular game. I wrote the trailer and Jakub Jabłoński from Platysimash directed it. So let's see it and then analyze it quickly. Okay, so what we have here basically is the structure I have already mentioned. You've got 5 acts here. You've got the climbing sequence, establishing the world. It is a harsh environment full of potential dangers. You've got the accident sequence, introducing the drama, then the death sequence, creating a climax of sort. We follow it up with crowd sequence, bringing the resolution, and then the punchline in the form of the city sequence. But on top of that, we've got this set of additional bits that are just trying to grasp your attention, trying to stick to you, trying to stay in your mind after you watch the trailer. And there are many of them. I have just mentioned few of those on the slide, but one that is especially interesting for me is the ship that appears in the 3rd act. Because in the original script, there was no ship there. It was Jakub's idea to add that particular element there just to add something out of the context, something interesting, something that could intrigue you as a viewer, because you are in the middle of the mountains. There is a harsh environment, winter environment, and out of nowhere you've got this great old vintage ship. Where does it come from? And all of those questions appear. So this is something that you can discuss afterward. This is something that can be potentially quite interesting for you. Okay, so not to dwell too much on that particular subject, let's tone the budget a bit, maintaining the approach. So I'm going to show you another example, because examples usually work. Children of Morta. It is a hack and slash pixel art indie game developed by Dead Studio. But what sets it apart from the competition is the fact that it is very much focused on the family. This is a brilliant aspect of the game. Instead of those regular classes like warrior, I don't know, rogue, whatever, you've got members of an actual family. So there is this potential layer of emotions that you can use as a player, and you can delve into it, and you can feel those emotions while playing the game. So this is something that we wanted to visualize in the trailer itself.
What makes a family is not where they live, or what they do, or possess. What makes a family is what they share, and how they look after each other. And with this peculiar family, what runs in their blood is a distinct taste for adventure. Children of Morta.
Yep. So basically, this is a 3-act structure, but those 2 first acts are the most important ones, because you've got the family sequence and the action sequence. Then there's the summary of sort follows, right? But in the first sequence, in the family sequence, what we do is we are establishing the tonality of the game. We tell you what set us apart from the competition. Then we follow it up with the action sequence, telling you what the moment-to-moment experience will be once you play the game. But we add this love factor, the longest one actually seen in the second sequence. In the second sequence is the scene about love, not about fighting, not about roaming, but about love. We added this one, this emotional beat at the end of the action sequence to underline the fact that actually the emotional layer is an integral part of the whole experience, not only the icing on the top of the cake, if that makes sense. So the tip number 2 would be to plan your structure carefully, keeping in mind the rhythm of your storytelling, not only the traditional rhythm of storytelling, but also those beats that should be dense enough to keep your viewer interested, right? So, guys, The next thing is that you can be witty, funny, you can have the best idea ever, but as long as you do not reveal your gameplay, do not count on great success, at least not in the long run. Because, of course, for a short period of time, you can sell your premise and without like revealing the gameplay for your game, but sooner or later, and most probably sooner than later, you're gonna have to show a moment-to-moment experience, and you have to be prepared for that. Because even though the gameplay itself doesn't have to be story-driven, your video about it should tell a story of sort. Because maintaining this structure, maintaining all of those things that I have mentioned before, you not only will make your communication stronger, but also you will prove that your game actually delivers what your marketing has promised. So pitch the idea and then, as soon as possible, prove that it works. And from our point of view, or maybe our experience is that there are actually 3 most important videos that you're gonna release along your campaign. And those are the first announcement trailer for your game, then the first gameplay trailer for your game, and then the launch date announcement trailer for your game. The funny part is that our experience shows that launch date announcement usually is more popular than the launch video for the game, for some reason. I don't know. This is how it works for us, and it works pretty well. But the bottom line is that one of those 3 trailers, at least one of them, will be purely gameplay based. But you have to maintain the structure and maintain the messaging in this one, especially considering the fact that this is such an important part of your campaign.
End up with next to nothing. We don't do what we believe is right, but we believe what we do will make us right. It is not shelter nor food that brings us consolation. Hope that makes us grow. Hope that there is more of us. And if not, that we are enough.
Again, 5 acts, 5 vignettes showing different aspects of the game, but on top of that, teasing different experiences and different emotions, along with those different visual cues that hook you and keep you interested. So you've got survival in harsh conditions, you've got coping with your people, tough and obvious choices, steampunk city development, world exploration, but also balloons. We were working very hard on that scene with the balloons because we felt that this one will be something quite recognizable and quite specific for our game, because I don't recall any other city builder or survival game with such an element, such a distinctive element. Okay, so keep your gameplay presentation in line with the core premise. That would be the tip number 3. And then something about the media span or media timing, if you will. I like to say that good videos are like 90s rock stars. They generate buzz, but their lifespan is short as hell. And this is true for almost all the videos. So no matter how good your video will be, of course you're gonna get great results with good videos, but for a short period of time. And this is okay as long as you are prepared for it. So the bottom line is that you should treat your video, as good as it is, as a small piece of a bigger puzzle. And this data, actually, this is the data for the first trailer that I have displayed today, meaning the first Frostpunk trailer. And we had like really good data, really good results with that trailer. Almost, yeah. Sure. Okay. Even better. Right now I feel like a rock star of sort. Cool, so the thing is that we had good results with this one. We had like almost 5 million impressions, mostly positive feedback and good amount of media coverage. But as you can see, the whole hype for the video lasted for 5 days. Of course, there was a long tail of like medium engagement and a small engagement, and it is running somewhere right now, but those 5 days were crucial. And this is not an exception. I would say that this is a rule. 3 to 5 days. This is how long your video will perform if it's a good video. So you have to think about the next steps. You have to think long term. And basically, this is the tip number 4. Treat your video as a part of a bigger campaign, of a bigger plane. You have to focus on your video, but you shouldn't at least treat it as the most important and the only thing that you're an only pillar of sort that your campaign will stand on. It will fall, basically, if constructed like that. And the last part, I've got a minute and few seconds. So the last part is the punchline. Good video, good trailer of sort is like a joke, so it needs a good punchline. So basically, what you start your work with, meaning the whole messaging part, the whole strategy part, is what your viewer should be left with after he ends the session with your video. And you can deliver that punchline in a form of a tagline of sort, or it can be a part of your script. But one way or another, you need something. You need that one specific, simple and short, let's call it short and sweet, communicate your viewer will remember afterwards. So for this war of mine, we have created this tagline that said that in war, not everyone is a soldier. And for us, it worked quite well. For Children of Morta, as you could see on the trailer, we had this sentence telling you that it runs in the family and that it is everything that hack and slash is about. So it's adventuring, it's fighting, roaming the area, getting the loot. All of that is being shared by the family because what we were underlining there is the value of those relations in the family, right? Those things that families share. And this is the most important part. So that was the bottom line, the punchline for our first video for Morta, but it is going to be a punchline for the upcoming videos as well, because, as I said before, we have to maintain the messaging. So the tip number 5, keep your message short and sweet. So I would like to leave you with those 5 tips as 5 acts in the story, because this is how it works for me. So to sum it up, treat your trailer like a movie, a very short one, but still a movie, maintaining a rhythm not to lose the attention of your viewer, keep it dense, grab his attention early on, and then push it forward. Stay business-oriented, sell key features, show the gameplay, but in a manner of good storytelling. Deliver clear punchline, and always plan long-term. Thank you very much.